stream starting.
I can't wait till they start talking about the hardware.
We got the plans cause we are the tech shamans. We understand cause we are the tech shamans. Dude, I got this cool thing to show you. Really, man? Yeah, it's far out and technical and stuff. Awesome, yeah. Come on and turn it on. Tune into the Tech Shamans. Come on and turn it on. Tune into the Tech Shamans. Come on and turn it on. Tune into the Tech Shamans. Come on and turn it on. Tune into the Tech Shamans. Cool.
Good morning, everybody. It's Monday. Guess what?
Monday.
No one's seeing us because it's not even up on the live right now. That's okay. It is what it is. But yeah, so Adam, the tech world is abuzz.
Yes.
Over the new Apple phones that are coming out.
Phones and devices. I can't wait to go
So,
here.
okay, is it? No, I understand it's just the phone. So there is more devices.
Yeah,
coming out.
there's more devices. This is where the first one that was earlier this year is the software side. You know, you have, iOS, Mac OS, and you have all the other, software packages that come with the Apple devices. Now it's about hardware. This is about hardware. Obviously, Apple leads with their iPhones and stuff like that. They'll go into, any kind of refreshes on the iPads and, processor upgrades for different devices and across the board. So you'll see additional items being, released and talked about.
So the biggest thing about the new update is just the fact that they're coming out with the A13 chip.
Yes.
Correct?
Right. And right now, if this, everybody's downplaying the product, they're saying, oh, there's not that much features. Well, there might not be that much features, that you would expect,
Right.
just because everybody's talking about, well, it's just a phone with more cameras. Everybody forgets about, the innards, the parts that make everything work.
Well, it's supposed to be the most advanced chip.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, you're getting. So for all of you that are like, well, I really, my phone works, blah blah blah, and I get all that. If you're not a camera guy, okay, and power is not a big deal for you, yeah, don't upgrade.
Right.
Wait till 2020 to upgrade, because then there's gonna whole new systems coming in.
Yeah.
But if you're like me, who's a camera guy, I use my phone for interviews. We have a small rig that we built and put together that I'll put that up against a standard off-the-shelf camera all damn day long.
Mm-hmm.
So the camera's going to be better. The low latency is going to be better. The low light is going to be better. But my thing is the chip.
Right.
We're getting a better processor, which means it's the phone. You might, it's almost to the point now where we're just using it for as a tablet more than we are as a phone.
Exactly.
So I mean, you can buy an Apple Watch and use that as a phone.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. So you have an Apple Watch, correct?
Yes, I have an Apple Watch. I have.
Okay, so if your phone is off, does your Apple Watch work as a phone?
On the third generation, it does. Yes.
On the third generation.
So if you do have, if it's off, it's got to still be connected to cellular service. But if my phone is not with me, if I leave it at home, and it's say I left it charging in the morning, I woke up and just left it sit there,
Mm-hmm.
and I put on my watch because most everybody does slip their watch on, but sometimes they'll leave their phone on the by the front door as they're getting ready to walk out the door, taking the kids to school, whatever. No worries. I mean, unless you want to surf the internet and stuff like that, that's perfectly fine. You could still receive phone calls on your watch.
Okay, so if I've got my iPhone with me, because I'm not, as you can see, I don't wear watches. I used to be. My wife used to. I can't say. Well, should I say that word? I was a watch whore. I loved watches. I did. I mean, I have some of the most biggest, gaudiest watches. I don't wear them anymore, and I don't wear them because my hands got caught in a rigging.
Oh yes.
When I was working on a job, and I was literally, because of the watch, and the watch wouldn't let go, my hand was caught in a rigging, which my hand shouldn't have been there. It's not the rigging's fault. It's not the watch's fault. It's actually my fault because I was doing something I knew not to do. And I had told people, don't ever do this. But because of what I saw was going on, it would have caused a problem with our show.
Right.
So I reached up and I was holding it. Well, as I was pulling my hand out, my watch got caught. So I was literally 10 feet in the air before they realized I'm screaming my guts out that I'm hanging, and then they saw me hanging, and my secondary guy that was supposed to watch that with me, I had sent him to do an errand, so it was my fault. But ever since then, I don't wear watches.
But at least you had a quality watch that kept you in the air.
It did. Now, that bad boy did not let go. It wasn't, so the good thing is it wasn't sharp, so it didn't cut me.
Right.
It was just stuck. But ever since then, I don't wear watches. And then the other day, I was working on my RV, and my hand got caught between two metal posts that were electrical, and my ring shocked me. So I couldn't get my hand out of there. So I am literally going to get a ring tattoo for my wedding ring, so I don't have any metal on me.
Jeez.
But since I used to wear a watch, my whole point was I used to wear a watch. So if I did have an Apple Watch and I had my phone, and say I was inside of an interview with my phone, could I tell my watch to take the call and not interrupt my phone, or can I tell them not to talk? Like, is that a possibility? Do you know if that's possible?
If you put them both on cellular, for instance, and to keep them off Wi-Fi, it'd be best, because by default it's going to try to pick up the call from the phone because you're over Wi-Fi. But if you're on cellular, they're even though they're on the same network, they're not gonna talk back and forth. So you can pick up the.
Okay.
It's better. Turn off Bluetooth. Keep on cellular. That way it's fully disconnected from the phone. So that way you can continue to do what you need to do. But the problem is the phone's still going to receive the call.
Right, and it's going to interrupt
It's still going to interrupt your service.
So here's some of the biggest excuses, and I guess I'm not making this up. I'm just actually going to read this. These are some of the biggest excuses of why people want to change their phone. First one is my battery runs out too often. Well, that means they have too much crap going on. Right. They don't kill background. They don't kill. They allow Netflix to track them. So if you're being tracked and all this stuff's in the background, if all these applications are constantly calling to the mothership, you're killing your phone, right?
Yep.
So turn all that crap off.
Also remember that your phone's average battery life of any kind of battery, doesn't matter if it's a phone, car, whatever it is, within 3 years those batteries, they start really draining out quickly. They start losing their capacity to hold 100% of power. Like right now, my iPhone 7 is only at 84%. Okay. 84 to 82%. So when I charge it up, it says 100%, but really, truthfully, the phone can only hold 82% of its original charge that it used to be able to charge up to. So it obviously is going to drain down faster. Right. So it's just the nature of the beast. It's just the way battery technology is not really caught up with the way we use technology today. And not only that, the operating systems. As the operating systems advance and go up, Apple's a hardware company. They build their operating systems around the hardware. So again, the operating system taxes the hardware harder. The more updates you do, the harder it pulls on the battery. And of course, and you've got to remember, everything that we're talking about today is speculation because the big event's tomorrow. Big event's tomorrow, so stay tuned.
All right, so another one is my screen is cracked. So are they going to do? I wonder if they're going to do something better with the screens, because I know I have the 10X Max, and I have to be super careful with it because it's glass. Yeah. Now it's like, if I drop it, I'm going to break it, right? So immediately the thing goes into an OtterBox, and as much as I don't like the OtterBox, I don't like them. Yeah, they're ugly as hell. They're bulky. Very bulky. They don't fit, they don't fit into my rigs very well. I have to. When I buy a rig, I have to buy two. Typically one, so if I ever take the phone out, I can use it. But the other one, I have to modify the cut. I have to cut stuff out so it'll fit in there because it's so fat, right? I wonder if they're going to do something better with the screens.
I hope. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know if they can. I mean, there's only so much you can do when it comes to glass technology. I know Corning, tries their best, but again, you can only do so much when it comes to dropping it.
So the next one is I'm out of room.
Storage, yes.
Storage. Well, That's not a phone or a tablet or a watch or none of those problems lie within the
Right.
object, because there's I'd be hard pressed to find someone that does not have a Gmail. Well, Google Photo will allow you unlimited uploads, unlimited data storage on your photos, just your photos, not your videos, but your photos. That when they upload, they get compressed, so they're not going to be that high res. But you can always buy a. I think it's
iCloud.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can also buy a dongle that goes in the bottom of the phone.
Yes.
To back it up. SanDisk makes one, and it's got the lightning port adapter, the whole 9 yards. You just got to know how to get everything on there.
Or you can, if you just want, you can just plug your phone into your computer and
back it up.
and just go into the photos folder, and you can literally just grab everything out of it and transfer it to the computer. I usually do that into dates. I got tired of doing it because it takes so long sometimes when you have a 256 gig iPhone and you have 60, 70 gigs worth of pictures, and you're sitting there going, yeah, this will be a while. I finally bit the bullet, and I went ahead and got iCloud. 99 cents for 50 gigs. I mean, it's not.
But
not
the problem with iCloud, I've been a Mac user forever, and the problem with iCloud is when you delete stuff off your phone, it deletes stuff off your iCloud. So you have to know how to. Well, here's what I do when I upload all my backup to iCloud.
Yeah.
Then I go into my Mac, and then I take all that and put it in a different folder.
Right.
I
Exactly.
copy and paste it, get it out of that thing. So when I go to my phone, clean this all off, it doesn't delete.
It doesn't come out of that.
Right. So whatever you do on
category.
your phone will replicate onto your machines, and they don't tell you that. And the same thing for iCloud. If everything going to iCloud, whatever you put in iCloud, if you delete it off your phone, deletes from your iCloud.
Now, how long has it been since you've used like a Mac and iPhone and devices
Together?
across the
Tethered?
board? All across the board under the same account.
Last week.
Last week?
Yeah.
So, for instance, with iCloud, they now tie the desktop with a newer operating system. The desktop ties into iCloud.
Right.
So now when you create folders on your Mac, those same files are across the board on every device you sign into.
Correct.
And which is a really good feature because
But it will delete those files
Right.
if you delete them from your phone.
exactly, and same thing from your Mac. You delete a
Right.
file from the Mac, it's going to go across the board.
Exactly.
So make sure you watch what you're doing.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Yeah, I just make sure that when I personally push everything to Dropbox.
Yeah.
Because we have a 3 terabyte. I think it was a 3 terabyte. Maybe it's 2 terabyte. We have one anyway. It doesn't matter. Whatever I have, I just upload to there. Then when I delete from my phone, I still got them, and then I can pull them down across the board. I can pull them down from anything, which is kind of cool. So let me ask you a question. iOS 13.
13.
Okay, now you're a beta tester, correct?
I'm testing it, yes.
I hear there's hidden ways that the software actually helps the new iPhone, or even the older iPhones.
Yes, it does make the iPhones a little snappier. There's features it won't be unless you have a newer device. Metal is their engine for doing graphics and stuff like that, and also for doing some of the gaming and stuff. But iOS 13, they changed a lot of stuff when it specifically to the iPad. The iPad now, Apple's trying to really give it more of a laptop-y feel. iOS 13 and the iPad now can bring up full desktop mode, for instance, as the default. If you're searching inside, say for instance, I get on the internet and I look up a website, I will be able to look in desktop mode. They also gave it a feature where you can go ahead and sync a mouse to your device now and use a mouse. It's not quite there yet,
Right.
But it was always that option was always there under accessibility.
Right.
But now they made it a default where you can sync a mouse to your iPad. There's subtle changes in the software on the iPad that makes it function differently than your phone.
Okay.
So they call it iPad OS, Pad
Okay.
OS. So they're trying to change the operating system on your iPads versus the phone and make the iPad feel and function like Microsoft Surface, for instance.
You know, because it's funny. I was getting. That's the very question I was going to ask. So there's a commercial right now called, and this guy named MacBook. His name is Macintosh or something like that. His last name is Book, so they call him MacBook.
Right.
And they're putting the Surface 2 against a Mac laptop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, longer battery power, better processing, it's faster, all that kind of stuff. They rattle us all stuff, but they're not comparing apples to apples there.
No, they're not.
I mean, and I don't even mean that. I don't mean that literally. They were doing apples to oranges.
Yes.
So you're trying to make the Surface. So if you're going to do the Surface 2, you should put that up against an iPad Pro.
Right.
Because iPad Pro and the Surface 2 are the same animal.
Pretty much.
Those are that's apple to apple.
Yes.
Or
at least
A to A.
Right. At least when it comes to their form factor.
Right.
You know, I don't care. A Microsoft Surface is not a full blown laptop.
No, I couldn't put Premiere on there and run Premiere.
No,
it's not made for it. But I could put Premiere on that.
Now they have a Surface Book, Microsoft Surface Book, which technically is a laptop hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
It is a tablet by default, but they do make a keyboard base that it snaps into that also has a GPU built into it.
Right.
Into the physical base. And that gives you the ability to have discrete graphics.
Right.
The only problem is that keyboard base is like an additional $500.
Right. But in the commercial they put the MacBook and they put this, and they're both laptops.
Right.
They look, they look like a functional laptop, but they're not. The Surface 2 is a tablet with a keyboard.
I would put the Surface against maybe a MacBook Air. You know, the smallest Air they have. But as far as when it comes to processing power, video power, you know, just editing things, they're not the same.
So
thing.
when will iOS 13 come out for the public?
iOS 13 is going to come out around the same time as probably a couple weeks after for regular devices. Give it a couple weeks because obviously they're going to want it on their main devices that are being released on the 20th. Mm-hmm. You know, they want everybody's going to rush
September
to get those.
20th.
September 20th, yes.
So we're looking October 1st.
Yeah,
probably
around
a rollout for everybody upgrade to.
Which you'll like it. I haven't had any issues. This beta has been really reliable. It's been working pretty good. I did have some. Right now, I'm in the public beta now. So this is the ones that the public can join on and take a look at. They just released a couple of the ones that are full featured. Now I'm starting to see not as much bugginess. Battery life is kind of came back to normal now as they're doing their testing and stuff.
Okay.
Everything's starting to come along. I have it on my iPad. It does. It's made my iPad feel different, so I've had to have a new learning curve. It's really made my iPad feel differently. So it's just not like a big phone anymore. It functions differently, and I kind of like the way it functioned before, but some people always said, why can't this be a laptop? And that's what Apple's trying to do. Give the best of both worlds while keeping their system, the same.
So a good iPad. Let's say the iPad Pro.
This is a Pro 9.7. Now, obviously they have this.
So if I could actually put Photoshop Lite on there,
mm-hmm.
or I could put Premiere Rush.
Yes.
To do some editing. You can't. I don't think it can handle the full Premiere, but Premiere Rush it would be able to handle just fine. Right?
I think when they come out with the
not that I don't like Final Cut. Well, I don't like Final Cut anymore. Final Cut needs to go back to the way it was and support us.
I think the new Bionic 13 chip when that comes out will be.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Not only that, you got to remember it's not just a chip, but it's also a GPU built in.
That's true.
And everything's mostly graphics driven now.
So, folks, if you've got an iPhone and you want to go to if you want to go to the, they don't even know that everybody's speculating on the name. It could be the iPhone 1X, or
names.
X1, whether they're going to stick with the Roman, who knows?
Now, this year they're supposedly not adding 5G into the phones.
That's 2020, from what the rumor says, right?
Right now, the rumor is they're not going to have 5G. And then, believe it or not, it's not really Apple's fault. And remember, there's some things that they just can't do. They have contracts with other companies. And one of the contracts they had was with Intel.
Right.
and Intel was working on a chip. Intel couldn't get it ready in time. So that kind of, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, because of that whole situation, didn't Intel just sell their mobile phone modem technology and everything over to Apple?
I think so.
So, Apple says, well, I guess if you're not going to get it ready, we're just going to go ahead and buy it. And
here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Intel's going to be slowly pushed out of the new Apples, the new Mac system.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to go back to the good old days of Mac Pro.
Well, think about it. The Bionic chips, all these chips that the iPhones have been using lately,
non-Intel.
They're non-Intel. These SoCals, system on chip is what it means. They're being developed and pushed by Apple themselves.
Right.
Back in the day, Samsung used to make their chips.
Yep.
Apple pulled away, obviously for obvious reasons. Why?
Right.
Galaxy. They come out with their Galaxy and
when you're gonna
everything.
It's amazing. You rip your source off, then you're okay to start producing your own.
So and the same thing with the screens. Samsung used to be the only company that you can get OLED screens from, and then next thing you know, Apple's designing and producing their own screens. So it's just a matter of time that Apple starts, and it's not being a monopoly. They're just taking all the stuff that's out there in the world, offering somebody money and pulling all their production in house. They're the company that makes the design.
Right, and they're slowly getting themselves back into a closed system.
And they need to.
Because in my personal opinion, the Macs became glitchy, and then when they need to start going. And this is just me. I guess I keep beating this dead horse. They need to go back to supporting the professionals like they used to.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody could have bought a Mac. Anybody could have. But they were really there to push the professionals. They were supporters for us, the whole 9 yards. Final Cut became a world-renowned editing system that went head-to-head with Avid. Who cared? No one cared about Premiere, but they went head-to-head with Avid because Avid was the big boy and has always been the big boy. So Final Cut went head-to-head with these guys, right? And then all of a sudden, the consumer, the prosumers is what we call them. They're not the pros, but they're prosumers who think they're good and blah blah blah. They started making it where everybody in the world, and then Final Cut became crap.
The other thing that kind of bothers me about what's happening today in the Apple world is these rumor mills that keep starting up. That really, I like it and I don't because I see what's happening. Look, here you got a new hardware coming out. Okay. Apple is a hardware-centric company that they build hardware. That's all they do, okay?
Yep.
And if you don't buy a device from them, they're not going to be around. They have to sell product. They have to sell the hardware. That's why they're trying to push some of the, the iCloud and stuff like that so they have another revenue stream to keep going. Just because they have a lot of money right now doesn't mean that at any given time, something's going to happen.
Right.
And what I see in the world today is, all these guys releasing all this information. Oh, well, this phone's going to be a dud. Let's not deal with this phone right now because in 2020, well, you've just ruined their launch. You're shooting the company that you are excited about in the foot by telling everybody that don't buy this because next year is going to be something even better and better and better. You don't know for sure. Just why is there? I think they need to find out who's leaking, how it's leaking, and get that situation resolved. And I really, like you got Goldman Sachs saying, "Hey, guess what's happening?" Well, didn't they just partner with them to go ahead and release that Apple credit card? Why are you releasing that information right now?
Right.
Let there be their cycles of they're selling their hardware, people are purchasing it, they're excited about it, and let them make the decision. An informed decision. Don't throw all this information out there because people get oh well, I'm not going to upgrade now because, well, I am. I have an iPhone 7 still. I know it's time. I'm not going to wait till a complete redesign that is going to be in test mode at the very first year.
Right.
I'm not going to wait till then. Yes, it might have a cool options, but they're not going to have it figured out and their production line corrected
No,
until
it takes a year
So,
to
yeah.
once it hits market. I waited to go to the 10 Max. Probably, well, I just did it this year. I did it in June. I waited that long because I know that when the big changes in 10, the 10 was a big change.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad I did, because the first 6 months people were just horrified at some of the crap that went on with it.
Right.
And they've got it all finally fixed. And I don't know if I'll jump to the 11. I do want the camera. I would like to have the camera, but I can't justify going out and spending $1,000.
Well, think of it this way right now. This will be the final, if they are choosing to have a change next year in 2020, think of this as being the best
Of
of
last.
everything
Right.
that they've learned from the 10 since they've released it originally.
Yep.
And corrected all of its glitches and issues. This is the final production of something that has worked.
Right.
And obviously, it's going to be the best of what was released prior to. And it'll be stable. All its issues will be ironed out. They might make some design changes that make it a little easier to repair and fix. Things inside of it are going to be a little bit different. And it'll be done. And then they'll have the new line of product coming out, which will be difficult to repair, which will be, one of a kind, those kind of situations, which will be more expensive to fix if something happens. Let them go through that testing and stuff and figure it all out, because at least you'll know right now you got the best of the best of what's out there today. Do what you got to do.
Right. So it's if I hadn't gone to the 10, I'd probably waited, and I would have gone to the 11. But
Right.
we'll see. I mean,
Well-
I may try one and go in, and if the camera is, then I'll just do the trade.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that camera situation. I mean, don't get me wrong, it does look kind of funky. It does.
It does, but that's not even. We're not even sure that's the true way it's going to look. yet.
True, and that's the thing.
All this stuff is speculation.
That's always
Every bit of it.
speculation.
So it's like, but but Apple's doing it right. So, but anyway, and another thing too is they finally, the 8 and 10 are well made.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to bitch about.
I think my biggest hang-up's going to be is moving over to going from the 7 to if I get that iPhone
Right.
11 is no home button. I'm so used to just
Oh, dude, I'm still freaking out about it. I'm like, I find myself doing this to get back
Right.
to the home, and all I got to do is just swipe up, and it goes back.
Oh, you know what? iOS 13, they are supposed to finally release the multi-user FaceTime.
Mm-hmm.
That whole situation will be back again. 32 users at once. I mean, I don't know who's going to talk to 32
who's gonna
people.
Talk, yeah, exactly. Who's going to talk to 32 people?
If you got a big family and you want to talk to everybody at once, hey, that's a FaceTime video. That's going to be very interesting. Apps were going to launch up to 2 times faster than before, and smaller in download size in iOS 13, which is going to be cool.
So
Face ID is going to unlock your phone 30% faster, which I think it works pretty darn good.
the only thing about it, I can't. I want to make it where I don't have to pick my phone up.
Yeah.
You see the commercial, the old guy sitting there, he's all relaxed, his dog's sitting there, his phone dings, and he goes like this and goes, and it opens up. It doesn't do that.
I heard they're going to do a wide angle lens eventually, and where you won't have to be like directly looking at the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So
If you go-
maybe you can get a side shot or off to the side.
I guess you're going to have to do that gesture to
so
open it up when you're
you
not.
have your phone to the side, and you like look towards it, and it says, "Hey, how you doing?" It turns on.
Right. It should do that, right? Yeah. So anyway, if you're, and next week we'll talk more. We'll
we're
dive
gonna-
in depth on this next
once
week
we
because
see
we want to
everything.
make sure that we know. I'll watch it tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
And figure out what I want to do. And then we'll bring it back to you. So let's jump over to Facebook real quick. This will probably we're halfway through the show. There's no real quick about this. Okay, so there's 2 things that Facebook has done. Right, Facebook has started a dating app,
I heard.
which it was already a dating app. Come on. people used it for that from the get-go. But now they've actually, oh look, it's boring me. I'm yawning. But it's truly going to be. They've actually opened up a dating, and they say what happens inside that dating site will never reach timeline. I call bullshit on that.
What happens in dating app stays in dating app?
Yeah,
I don't think
bullshit.
so.
I'll guarantee it's going to spill over, and it will be a nightmare.
It is going to be very interesting.
Pure nightmare. So,
what was that other website that was out there that somebody hijacked and released all that information?
That hooker site or something like that. Ashley Madison.
Yeah.
Oh my!
So we'll have the Ashley Madison of Facebook happening. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I just think people
except for all your business clients that you're attached to on Facebook are going to see.
Go. There you go. It's. I'm telling you, it's not going to be as good as we all think it's going to be.
The future is private.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
So with that being said, so I read an article on The Verge about the trainees that monitor the feeds, not the AI side, but the actual people that sit there, right? And they use this girl name. They used the girl's name her name is Chloe, right? And so she went through all the training, and then they have to watch a video, a Facebook feed on there, and they have to tell people, and then, their colleagues there, whether it's, so they made this girl supposedly watch a guy get stabbed a dozen times while screams from begs for his life. And these people have learned that, of course she said, yeah, it doesn't matter, but then she returns to her seat feeling overwhelming urge to stop. Another trainee has gone up to review the next post, but Chloe can't come. She leaves her rooms, begins to cry, blah, blah, blah. No one comfort her. They're hired to be soulless. Their only decision in sitting in that chair watching that monitor is to ban it or not to ban it, pull it or not to pull it. These are your next people that are jumping off bridges.
Yeah.
I mean, you talking about going into a PTSD mode.
It's because the software can't distinguish.
No, it can't.
It's not ready yet.
So they've got all these people that, I mean, you can go in there, you can be a content moderator, and make $28,000 a year. That's not a lot of money to me, but
not for that kind of stress.
Not to sit there. It's just amazing that it turns these people into walking zombies. But I just wanted to touch on that real quick. That's the kind of stuff that these people, everybody sits and makes fun of these guys, but they're sitting there and they do look at stuff that's just
all right.
Not good. Not good.
Now, is the stuff that they're looking at stuff that's released to the public?
No. Well, yeah, it's people that are posting, like the Taliban. They'll put stuff on the ISIS guys. They were literally doing Facebook Lives of killing people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most of that got caught, but you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, wow. Let's talk about something that you're really, really keen on, and that's cybersecurity. Cybersecurity.
When's the last time you changed your password?
I was gonna say, is there such a thing as cybersecurity?
No, it's. I mean, there's not really security. It's just good general practices. Especially like in my field, we have companies that do what they're called MSPs. We provide like services to clients where we monitor their networks, monitor their computers and stuff like that. There's been instances where there's companies that make software that allow us to be able to monitor or get into the people's computers and do the work. And sometimes the IT companies don't turn on what they call like two-factor authentication, where when you sign in, they stop the sign-in process and say, okay, we're going to either send an email to the email that we have on file or text message to verify that you are the person who says you say you are that are getting in. And by doing something like that, by not turning on those features, people have been able to gain hold of corporations that have 1,000+ computers
Right.
on their network, and wreak havoc within a company. So anytime you have any kind of thing, your computer, you should have it password protected. If you are if you have a new Windows 10 computer, for instance, and you're setting it up, I personally like to set it up with what they call a local account. A local account is an account that you get into that's physically on the computer itself, not
Right.
stored in the cloud with Microsoft. At the very beginning, when you're setting up your computer, Microsoft first asks you, hey, what's your email address? Well, you don't have to put your email address, because whatever email address you put in there, Microsoft's going to turn that email address into what they call a Microsoft account and store your physical account information on the cloud. If you look off to the bottom left, you'll see a spot that says local. It says local account or offline account. As you're setting up, if you check that box, you can create a regular account, just like a Windows XP or a Windows 7 or even Windows 8 at one point time, account back on your computer. And the nice thing about that is you're in possession of your account. If your account gets hijacked in the cloud, your computer doesn't get hijacked.
Right.
And at the very beginning, when Windows 8 was coming out, Windows 10, and people were signing up for Microsoft accounts, you had Hotmail, for instance, or Outlook.com got compromised. People were having their passwords being compromised constantly, and their account passwords were being changed online. Well, when somebody hijacked your Hotmail account or your Outlook.com or any of your Microsoft Services account, when that got hijacked and the password changed, for instance, your email password, it literally changes the password that you used to use to log into your computer also. And the problem with that is there's no way to fix it if you didn't set up either a recovery email or if you didn't set up any kind of recovery phone number, because people didn't know that they were creating Microsoft accounts. They just assumed that they were signing in. And that's something that should be stated when they're doing their setup. I see it all too often. People go through the process. They'll buy a brand new computer, start setting it up, and next thing you know, they're locked out of it because they don't know what they just did.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing you can do about it because it's, it's tied to a Microsoft account. And I have tools that cannot get through that because the passwords are not stored on the device. They're stored in Microsoft servers in their Active Directory up in the cloud. So it makes it very difficult. So remember passwords. Change passwords every, couple months, especially depending on what field you are, what you do with your computer.
Right.
Change your passwords periodically, especially your banking or anything like that. Make different passwords. Use password tools like, LastPass, for instance, or something that, that way you only have to remember one password, yet you can log in. Try not to store your passwords in your browser. If your browser if somebody breaks into your email address, and for instance, you have it tied to Google Chrome, they sign in, they bring all your passwords and everything over, now they have a copy of your browser on their computer.
Is that downloadable if you do?
What's that?
So say you're attached to Chrome.
Okay.
Okay, which I am, and because that's the only way that sometimes I can remember my passwords. But I want to go in there and tell Google Chrome I want to download all my passwords. Is that possible?
There is a spot in there that you should be able to. If you look carefully, you can get into and see your passwords that are there and unlock them and see the physical passwords all the way down the list. So there should be no problem to be able to download a spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet of those.
Right.
So that'd be a good way to download them, back them up, delete it.
I've got thousands.
Back it up and then send it to like LastPass, for instance.
Right.
If there's a way for data input, input into the LastPass.
Right.
So that would be, good. But again, with something like that, it's only as good as, the protection you put in place.
That's right.
Turn on two-factor authentication.
Two-factor authentication, correct.
And even that can be bypassed. People can hijack other people's, phone numbers.
See, that's what I have learned that in the many, many years walking this planet, and as big of a nerd and geek as I am, nothing's impenetrable.
No, it just depends on whether or not
if that guy wants to sit there, that's sitting over in Russia or China, and they want to go in there, they're going to get it.
Right.
That's just the way it is. The only way to keep it completely is to print it, write it down, put it in a safe that you manually have to lock or unlock.
Yeah. It's like our website, for instance. Our physical website was constantly being attacked by people over in Russia, China, Cambodia.
Right.
It doesn't matter where in the world. They were constantly tagging our website. I eventually got to the point where I got tired of it because I'm constantly sitting here looking at it, seeing all these ping requests and stuff like
Right.
that, and they're tagging and they're requesting access to, for instance, our login page to our website. They're trying to get access to that. They're trying to run script on it so they can figure out what the password is, so they can get into it, so they can inject bad code into it. They're looking for vulnerabilities in our software so they can get in. So finally, I ended up installing a firewall into the physical website and blocking every country in the world except for the United States and different portions of North America, and that's it. Nobody.
Yeah, you don't do business with people in California.
I don't do business with people in Russia. I don't do business with people in anywhere else. So, did you say
Alaska.
California?
California.
He blocks out California.
Sorry.
They are their own country. So we don't do business with anybody else except for North America. America. So
Right.
then why have people coming into our website? It's not gonna do us any good.
Right.
So we block it out, so if somebody from another country, unless they use a VPN service to try to get into our site, they put in our website, it basically says we're not there.
Next week, let's put this out there. Next week, let's talk about a VPN. I've had several emails talking about wanting to know what a VPN truly is, how it truly works, what does it take to set one up, blah blah blah. So next week, let's bring that to the table
Sure,
so that
sure.
we can
Yeah, that'd be-
really hammer that away.
Yeah, there's a couple different kinds. So
We'll
can
talk.
about
We'll
two
be talking
different-
about Apple next week. I think we've got like 18 minutes left. We'll talk about Apple. We'll ingest it and we'll spit it all out in human terms. Let's talk about VPNs next week. So we're talking about security, right? So a big concern has come up with the Ring doorbells.
Really?
Yeah, because all these partnerships with the police
Oh, yeah.
departments and stuff like that
The partnerships
has
yeah.
become a very big thing. Congressional concern. It's gone to the concern of to the hires.
Right.
And they're like, well, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Yeah, that's tough. I see like if you do have a Ring doorbell, for instance, or any other Ring device, and you have the app, you'll see periodically there'll be the police department had put in a request for anybody who's seen this particular thing happen. Can you send them the video? Who
Right.
says Ring's not sending the video to them anyways?
Right, exactly.
If they put in a request, if they put in a court order and say, hey, I need every device on, this, James Street at this time, I need video from every device all the way down the line. They can pull it up, I
Legally? See, I think that's what the congressional, because I'm reading a thing, more than 405 police forces nationwide have joined the video sharing partnerships with Ring Company. So it's not like Ring. So when you get your Ring and you set it all up, are you signing the rights away to go, okay, yeah, you can use my doorbells, my Ring to.
Well, let's put it this way, John. Do you really own the video? Because it's not even stored on your premises. It's stored in Ring's servers,
Right.
on their software, on their platform.
And that's where I was going. The whole thing is the fact that if you sign up for a service, you've just made because I'll give you the terms of service somewhere in the agreement.
Oh yeah, we can do whatever we want at some point in time.
They can sell. They're like, well, you sign that. You sign the terms of services. You let that go.
Yep.
We have the ability to.
Nobody says that Ring doorbell will be beneficial to the U.S. military at some time. There you go. We got a military contract. Boom. You think they're going to let down that money? Nah.
Nope.
We become the service to them.
Right.
So while they're making money off us, they're selling us as a service to everybody else.
Right.
And that's tough. That's tough. That starts blurring the line between privacy and no privacy.
And that's just, and so let's bring in this. So now you've got the Ring that's outside your home, right?
Right.
And then you're on a network. You have a network internally, so your house inside of your house is being monitored.
Mm-hmm.
Who says that that's not going to the
correct
officials as well?
Yeah.
So you're basically giving up anything that you, and then all these people like I have an Alexis, and then I have a Google. I have a Google. Shoot, I have a Hub. I have the small one.
Yeah.
With no video camera, but it's audio. So you can't tell me that Google's not listening to everything that we're saying.
Right.
Goes. First of all, it's in the studio, so I really don't care what they hear. There's nothing in here to hear.
Yeah,
Other
there's
than
no reason why
editing.
they wouldn't be able to put in a request for, I need the audio and video of the inside of the house, I need the outside video ring device, any device they have in the house, I need everything, access to everything.
So that mean Alexa, Apple TVs, the fourth generation that actually have the microphone. All that stuff is already being given to the government anyway.
Right.
I personally think that. Okay, conspiracy theory guy. Right, here we go. So I think that Google, who is owned by
Alphabet,
is part of in down the road, all the hidden veils, is probably part of Homeland Security. NSA, FBI, CIA, the Alphabet. Right?
Wow.
Right? So all of Google that you see is really all government based anyway. So what a perfect way to keep tracks on your citizens than having a search engine that's controlled ultimately by Homeland Security.
Remember when Google was coming out, right?
Yep.
They weren't that anything.
Nope. And all of a sudden they
All of a
exploded.
sudden, yeah.
So could that have been government funding money? So think about that. So everything you Google, right? Everything.
Yep.
And it was kind of funny. All of a sudden, and again, Mozilla, Firefox, just disappeared for a while. They were because they were
did.
competition for Google. And we and I don't know about you, but I told my clients, don't use Google, use Firefox.
Right.
It's safer, it's better, it's Linux based, so it's kind of a little more, it's less hackable. You can hack Linux, but
Right.
it's everybody's, who cares? It's publicly funded. But then they disappeared, and all of a sudden they made a big resurgent.
Yeah. Where'd they get that
Where
money?
did that money at? So think about that. So everything that you've ever searched is in a government database. Just saying. Just saying. You heard it here first. Probably not. There's probably other people out there that are just as nutty as I am. But I'm thinking, what a great way to control data flow.
Yeah.
And the government be the whole
Well,
time.
and look,
If I wind up dead tomorrow and the government, I did not commit suicide. I'm just letting you know right now. It's like the
John.
Clintons getting a hold of me.
Oh boy.
Don't piss them off or don't piss the Homeland Security off. You disappear. Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, anything is possible.
Google
You
was
could-
not that big.
No, back then.
And they were struggling to be ahead of Firefox.
Yeah. Or even that matter to be a search engine back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in the
They
day,
weren't-
who was that back in the day that was the big,
Well,
you
Internet
had,
Explorer.
Yeah, but it was Netscape and all them back in the day.
Well, back in the day, yeah.
Yeah. And there really, there was another search engine, and I forgot which one it was. That was, kind of like the go-to place, at the time.
Yahoo was it.
It was either-
Yahoo and Netscape, two big boys.
There was another one that was coming up. And I don't remember what it is. One day I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to say who it is.
We'll figure it out.
But I do remember when Google was just kind of like Google, who was Google, it didn't
Yeah.
make any sense type thing.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's like Google everything.
Right.
And you kind of start thinking back. You're like, where did they come from?
Well, yeah.
What happened?
And it's kind of funny that the company that owns them's name is Alphabet.
Yeah, right.
Alphabet, yeah. Yeah. All the acronyms, CIA, NSA, FBI,
Just go
Secret
right.
Service,
See,
Homeland Security.
A B C D E F G. Who's looking at me today?
See, I'm just saying. Okay, so if I die tomorrow, by you'll know I did not do it by myself. So just
So there's no such thing as security because
Nope.
you're not secure.
Nope. If you think the government can't get your stuff, you're blind
Exactly.
as a bat. You know what I'm saying? I wonder how much time we got left. I bet about 8 minutes.
8 minutes. So basically, next week we're going to be diving hard into this hardware, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be some interesting stuff.
Yeah,
again.
I really want to get into I really do, because I think it's a big deal.
Okay.
I think I had one more piece of news that I wanted to talk about. Where did it go? Gosh, I'm getting old, man. I'm getting so old. It's crazy. Let's talk about the new Microsoft update. They just came out. Did you get one?
Which one? The 1903?
Is that what it is? Because I tell you what, it's made one of our machines just goofy.
1903 has been coming out since May. It was paused because there were some issues with it, and now it's making a resurgence.
So now it's coming back, and everybody's getting
and believe it or not, some people won't receive it unless they physically go in there and have their computer check for updates. They won't see it pop in. It'll just kind of randomly just show up out of the blue. But if you go in there right now and say, hey, check for updates, and your computer's not running the 1903 update, it will now download.
Really?
And unfortunately, so far, I haven't had any issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have a software package that's not compatible. Really haven't had too many issues. Some computers that are older devices that have outdated BIOS, for instance, would require a BIOS update before taking it because it glitches out as it installs software, different drivers and stuff.
Right.
I have seen a driver that was compatible in 1803 that was working.
Okay.
For instance, an APU, AMD graphics and CPU combination. You could find the driver that made the graphics card work in 1803, but when you put 1903 on the device, no longer is that driver available, which is very odd because it is still Windows 10.
Right.
So whatever Microsoft's doing in the background in design changes on the softwares is throwing a lot of things off. So, you may be running into problems with device drivers, hardware compatibility. But again, that's the problem. It's an automatic update, and there's nothing you can do about it. Many of you signed up to be able to use Windows 10, and you clicked past that terms of service. And you basically gave, Contoura says it at the very beginning.
Right.
Here's a little bit of information. You got to click OK. If you don't click OK, then, no Windows. She literally says that when you're installing Windows.
Really?
See, basically, here's the legal stuff. You got to hit OK,
Right.
Please read over this and hit OK. If you don't accept it, then no Windows. She literally says it. Well, there you go. It's obvious. She told you.
Sure.
She didn't even say. If you listened, she would have told you, hey, you click the button or you don't click the button. You get a computer, you don't get a computer. It's your choice. Enjoy.
Wow.
Yep.
That's just...
And that's a hilarious way of saying, hey, guess what? You don't own the device, we do, or at least the software in it. And that's what it is. You don't own the operating system. The operating system
owns you.
Owns you and all your files. There was a time where.
So does that mean I bet in their service agreements that they're sniffing your computer?
Yeah. At the very beginning of Windows 10, they were. There's options in there to go ahead and turn those features, some of the features off, supposedly. But that doesn't stop them from.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, supposedly.
It just makes you feel better.
Yeah, click this button; it'll make you feel better.
Yeah, that's all it is. Click this button, and you'll be all right. Don't worry, we won't look at the stuff that you've been looking at.
Now, and remember, you don't have to run Windows if you buy it. Buy a Windows computer. You could always install, Linux right beside it, Ubuntu. Learn something new. It has Firefox by default. If you just need to use it for internet purposes, you can literally install it side by side with Windows. If you don't want to agree to their terms of service, you could always, download and install that.
Right.
And
so I'm going to give a selfless plug here. So let me tell you something right now. Our computers in studio are our lifeline, and if you don't have a computer guy, you need to be calling Adam. because he's kept every one of our machines running like a freaking champ. You just did one for that we put a new hard drive in and put a new OS on stuff. And I had my kid, I give it to my son to be able to use for school. Thing is, like, that thing has never been that fast, ever.
No,
Even when we first got it, it was never that fast.
Solid state upgrade.
It's just amazing. And this laptop I've got right here, even though everybody makes fun of me because I've got the Terminator skull on there. Well, I broke the front of the case, so that was a way to just kind of cover it up. But you made this thing run like a champ, too, and I probably have got something unique. I'd probably let you look at the one that's kind of being stupid right now, and that's my main machine. It's just really, like last week or last Friday night, we were doing a show, and all the functions of the keyboard would work, but inside the software, it wouldn't work. We couldn't, the space bar, our shortcuts and stuff like that. So if you don't have a computer guy, you need one. This is the guy to call. I mean, he has kept more of my computers up and running, and I'm pretty brutal on a computer. Seriously, I mean, they get beat up with us. And you built like our new live. It's not a new machine; it's an old machine, but he made that thing function just like a brand new machine, and it's probably never run that good since we've had it. You know, we've had that for a long time. That thing's probably 7-8 years old. So again, if you need a computer guy, in the description of this video on YouTube and on everything else, it's there. If not, there you go. TechShamans@WeBeamTV.com. I will make sure you have his information because he's the guy. If you have a small company, this is the guy right here. Let him come in and take care and control that stuff. That's just, I can't say thank you enough.
Appreciate it.
And our other shaman he's going for brain surgery again.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, that dude I think they're putting brains in.
I was just going to say,
I don't know, man. Every time I turn, he's going for surgery. But unfortunately, he's not going to be here. He'll be here. How many? He'll be here next week. See, look, I have 11:55, and that's already 58 over there. So anyway. I got many. I got ball problems anyway. So anyway, we'll see everybody next week. We will be talking about Apple. We're talking about VPNs, big deal.
Yes.
Right. And then we'll have some other stuff to talk about because hopefully our other shaman will be back. Until next Monday. See you later.
See ya.
Shamans, we understand cause we are the Tech Shamans. Dude, I got this cool thing to show you. Really, man? Yeah, it's far out and technical and stuff. Awesome, yeah. Come on and turn it on. Tune into the Tech Shamans. Come on and turn it on. Tune into the Tech Shamans. Come on and turn it on. Tune into the Tech Shamans. Come on and turn it on. Tune into the Tech Shamans. Cool.